Have you read Erin Meyer's The Culture Map? If you work across culture, you have probably had it recommended to you. Hi, I'm Chi Tan. I help businesses navigate cultural nuances for global growth. Today, I want to share my thoughts on this book with you. I first read it a while ago, and recently I revisited it to see if my perspective still holds true. For those unfamiliar, Meyer identified 8 dimensions for understanding business communications across cultures, such as low context versus high context countries communications, direct versus indirect feedback, and so on. She then plotted a selection of countries on these dimensions and scales. Meyer did a great job, including plenty of examples for each dimension, making the book easy to read and digest. I believe the book does an excellent job of raising awareness about cultural differences in business communications. We humans often make assumptions or even judgments about others when they don't act as what we expected or are familiar with, which can then lead to misunderstanding or conflicts. Meyer's framework, along with her placements of countries on these scales, provides a helpful way to make sense of these cultural differences and navigate them. Unlike other broader cultural frameworks like Hofstede's or Trompenaar's, Meyer's model focuses specifically on business communication. She therefore was able to distill it into 8 actionable dimensions, not just for communications in general, but for business communications. For example, she has communicating, evaluating, like providing feedback, leading, trusting, and so on. Because these dimensions are specific, it makes the framework much more practical and immediately applicable in business scenarios. It's no surprise that this book has become a go-to resource for those working with people from different backgrounds. While Meyer's work focuses on navigating cultural complexities for business communications, my work focuses on helping businesses navigate cultural complexities for global growth. But there are crossovers. Take my experience with Asana, for example. When helping them to adapt their work management platform and their business to Japan, we encountered fascinating complexities. While Japan is often seen as hierarchical, aligns with Meyer's framework, where Japan sits far to the hierarchical end of the scale, the reality was more nuanced. Yes, traditional Japanese organizations often follow top-down structures. Yet, in newer companies or those with international collaborations, we saw more flexible, egalitarian approaches. Even in traditional Japanese companies, hierarchy didn't always dictate everything. When adopting new tools or technologies, decisions were surprisingly collaborative. Both leaders and end users felt comfortable giving direct feedback. Meyer did make a point that despite Japan has a highly top-down culture, it's also a highly consensus country when it comes to decision-making, so this might not come as a surprise. But we found that the perspectives and feedback of end users, who often the employees at lower levels of the hierarchy, heavily influenced and ultimately drove final decisions. This reveals something important. Cultural behaviors are not static. They evolve and shift with time, vary by context, and adapt across generations. While Meyer briefly touches on why behind cultural differences for a few of her dimensions, I believe understanding these underlying drivers is crucial for navigating cultural nuances effectively. This depth is something I found somewhat missing in the book. That said, The Cultural Map is a great book. It's an excellent reference for making sense of disagreements or communication barriers in business contexts and how to navigate the differences, especially when working with people from countries included in Meyer's scales. At the same time, we should also be cautious about viewing culture as fixed points on a scale. Culture is dynamic, multifaceted, and ever-evolving. Therefore, it's important to look beyond frameworks and understand the roots and drivers that shape different cultural behaviors and expectations. What do you think? Have you read this book? Have you used the cultural map or similar frameworks in your work? I would love to hear your experiences and perspectives. even if they challenge mine. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.